Good evening, Bookies. My name is Hannah, and welcome back to Top 10 Tuesdays. So before we begin, I want to apologize because you guys didn't get a video on Friday, and it's because I've been working extra hours at my work, and then I'd come home and pass out, and I never really had time to edit a video. So today, Tuesday, you guys are getting two videos, Top 10 Tuesdays, this, and then you're getting a video later on. So kind of just make up for that. I'm very sorry. I know I'm trying super hard to be consistent, and I'm just sorry. I really am. I'll be better, I promise. Just last week was a little bit of a weird week, and I've been trying my best. But let's get into the video. Today we are talking about tropes, my top 10 tropes. Now I'm actually splitting this video in half because I'm talking about the top 5 tropes I hate and the top 5 tropes I love. I have a list over here that has all the tropes on it, so I'm just going to start with the tropes I hate from number 5 to number 1. They're not really in any particular order now that I think about it. They're just kind of on a list, and so yeah. Now most of these tropes you probably know because a lot of them I've realized are very disliked in the booktube community, where a lot of booktubers don't like these tropes at all, where I kind of am like, yeah, well, I don't like those either, so I can agree with them. But then there's other ones that I know that I like that are disliked, so it's just all about opinions. If you like some I hate, then good, I'm glad, and if you hate some I like, then you know, it's just all about opinions. And let's get to it because I'm going to keep rambling today. So like I said, we're going to start with the top 5 tropes I hate. Let's get to it. So the first one I have that I absolutely hate is the chosen one, or when someone is included in prophecy. I just recently read a book where this one character had so many different factors in their life that it's like they were so the chosen one. It was insane. Like, they had this genetic thing, they had this thing happen to them, they just so happened to be named this certain thing that it happened. There was so much going on in that book that I felt like the main character was very much the chosen one, and I didn't like it at all. I loved the book, don't get me wrong, but the fact that this character was the chosen one, the way it kind of wrapped up in this book was they just so happened to have had a twin. Their parents were these really powerful people. The names had to do with something. It was so weird, and there were so many components that matched up that I was like, this is so overpowering, to the point that I was like, this is starting to irritate me a little bit. I don't like when a character is the chosen one. I mean, Harry Potter, I never read Harry Potter, but I liked the Harry Potter. It's just when they overdid it, this book that I recently read, overdid it so much that I was kind of like, I'm sick of it, because everything was like, boom! Let's move on, because I hope that made sense. Number 2 that I hate happens in most dystopian novels, and it is rebel against the system, where it's like, someone doesn't agree with the government, so this one character is going to lead a rebellion. You know exactly what books I'm talking about. The first ones that pop into my head are Hunger Games and Divergent. Let's all just go against this corrupt government. And yes, some of them are good, some of them are done very well, but then it's I feel like there are a lot of characters who are the same character in different books, where they're all the one that's going to lead the rebellion. And that's the part that I don't like, is it's the same character, the same boring person that just so happens to be like, I accidentally did this thing, we're going against the system now. So yeah, that's another trope I don't like. So the next trope, number 3, that I absolutely hate is the love triangle. I hate it. There's only one love shape that I ship, and it is this one very quickly. I don't like love triangles. I think that the main character, whatever, should be more decisive on who they love. Oh, is it this guy or is it this guy? I'm gonna swap between them for a while. No! Be nice. Don't be so rude like that, because then you're just gonna lead them both on, and it turns out that whenever I read a love triangle, like the main character never ends up with the person that I want them to end up with. So I think this kind of has a factor in the fact that I don't like love triangles, but I also think that it's so overplayed now in YA that it's kind of just like, just choose somebody. The fourth trope that I hate is the trope where this girl lives an ordinary, boring life, where it's like, she just so happens to have a couple quirks in her personality, and then it's like, accidentally she falls upon the magical world, or she finds like this dude and he thrusts her into this magical world. I can't stand that. I love the books where the girl like is already in the magical world and she's part of it, instead of just being like, ho ho, I found a magical world, what do I do now? Going along with this, I also hate when the girl, or the main character, doesn't have to be a girl, sorry, is like, oh, well, I've never held a weapon before, I'm just gonna slash you up and be super good at fighting. Like, no, I want to see a book where the character builds up their talent for like combat or magic, instead of just being like, oh, magic power, oh, done. Like, I feel like, I hope you guys understand what I'm saying, like, where the girl or character, keep saying girl because it happens a lot to female characters, will just suddenly be like, oh, well, I have all this magic power that I didn't know was there for 18 or 17 years, and everyone's like, mind blown. I don't like those kind of books. I want to see power built up and like studied and, you know, practiced, instead of just there, you know what I'm saying? Okay, move on. And the fifth and final trope that I hate is when the love interest just disappears, or when the love interest isn't included in the next book. This has happened on a couple books that I've read where it's like the first book they build up the romance, they build up the relationship, they have such great chemistry, and then I read the synopsis for the next book and it's like, oh, the character's disappeared, oh, the character's gone, and I'm like, no, like the romance is the one reason I wanted to read that book. You can't just tear it away and expect me to continue wanting to read the book. And I have a couple series where it's like, yes, I've stopped reading that book simply because of this. And if you've watched my previous videos, you know I hate this. So I feel like they should stop with just that trope. Okay, now we're going to move to the 5 tropes that I love. These ones are going to be a little better. I'm not going to be so irritated about these ones because I love these ones. So let's get to it. The first one that I've seen, and the first one that I thought of, was when the girl dresses up as a boy. I love these books. I love them so much, and I know this is a very common trope that everybody loves. I've seen a lot of people love it. I haven't actually seen anybody hate that, but I've seen a few people be like, oh, this is my favorite trope, so I know it's kind of a popular loved trope with some of the booktubers I've seen. One of my favorite things about this trope is when the girl dresses up as a guy and she's doing her stuff and then she's discovered. And like, we all get Mulan vibes, and I've mentioned this before. I love that trope so much because I love looking forward to when it's discovered and how everyone will react. And like, I've read one where like, nobody knows that this girl is a girl. Nobody. And then they discover her and everyone's like, whew. And then I've read one where it's like, only her best friend knows. And like, he tries to keep it hidden for as long as he can, but it ends up being like, out there. I just love them all. I love them all so much. The second trope that I absolutely love is where the main character meets the love interest and they hate each other. And then like slowly throughout the books they kind of, yeah, I guess we can be, you know, friends, and then it's like, maybe, you know, we can kind of be a little bit more than that. And they build up their relationship, and it's not like immediately, oh, I'm in love with you, I'm all hard eyes about you. It's more like, oh, I can't stand you, to like, yeah, maybe you're okay, to like, yeah, you're a pretty good guy, to be like, yeah, let's sit here and make out. That's the kind of thing I like. Third trope that I absolutely love is the whisked back in time, or the time travel. I've read 2 books where the main character is accidentally transported back into time, where she has to learn how to live without giving away her secret, and it's all fun, and I love it so much. And then I've read other books where the main character actually purposely transports back in time, and they have to keep their secret that, you know, they're time travelers. I really love time travel. I'm such a freaking nerd for time travel. I love Doctor Who and I love all things time travel. I love history. And so when something like that happens in a book, man, I am trash for it. The fourth trope that I have on my list is the tough female lead who don't need no man. And I'm talking about the kind of female who is like, she's not a damsel in distress, she doesn't like get herself in trouble and then expect to be like rescued. I like the kind of person who's like, oh shit, I've really gotten myself into trouble. Don't worry, I'll fight myself out of trouble. And like, just from the beginning of the book, she's a badass, and I love that because like, most of the time in most of the media, females are not portrayed as being, you know, tough people. Like the first example that comes into my mind is The Mummy with Tom Cruise. That female was fucking awful. I hated her to death because she was so fucking useless. So useless that me and my little sister were actually rooting for the fucking mummy. That's how useless this character was. I hate those kind of characters. I love the characters that are like, yeah, I can totally take this 6 foot, 300-pound dude out. And she's like this little tiny frail thing. I love them. And the fifth trope that I have on my list is another one that I absolutely love. I am completely here for it. I am trash for it. And that is fairy tale retellings, even if it's subtle. Like, even if it's like background where it's like if you read it and you weren't told that it was a retelling until later on, you'd be like, I get it now. Or where it's like obvious retellings. I don't care. I love fairy tale retellings in any format. Like, I love the Cinder series. What else is a fairy tale retelling now that I think about it? I love A Court of Thorns and Roses. I love that one so much. It's such a good retelling. And at the moment I can't tell any other retellings, but I love retellings so much. It's so good all the time. Like, yeah, it could be done super bad where it's like, just, I don't know, I've never actually read a bad retelling. But, I just love either like modern retellings where like the author kind of incorporates little hints and details into it, or like completely like off the chart and then it'll be like, oh yeah, surprise, this is a retelling, and everyone's like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. Cinder does this really well. A Court of Thorns and Roses does this really well. And I know that the first one and the second one of A Court of Thorns and Roses series, I know they're each different retellings, and I am here for it, man. I love retellings. Okay, so that is it for another episode of Top 10 Tuesdays. Thank you so much for joining me. If you want to check out my other Top 10 Tuesdays, then I will leave a little card or a link or an annotation or something up here to the playlist so you can go check out my other Top 10 series episodes. Was that even English? And I will see you guys in the next one. Rock on. Hey guys, I'm Hannah at Heckyeahbooks, and today me and my sister, who you are going to meet in just a few seconds, we are doing the siblings tag. So she is sitting behind the camera.